Great. We'll get started. Marcia, if you see anyone else come in, please admit them. But I'm just going to give a real brief overview about Cadre and about the networks that we've developed. So Cadre's been around for decades, and we are a collaborating and coordinating force for non-governmental organizations throughout Santa Clara County. We have been serving as or supporting the VOAD, the Volunteer Organization Active in Disaster, that coordinating function for disaster relief and recovery efforts for the county for just as long about. And we basically a few years ago were trying to see how we could ensure that all disaster related information and resources is easily accessible to our non-governmental organizations, and that they had a quick way to plug in when a disaster, especially a huge disaster, happens. We have apartment fires, and that's a major emergency that does need some coordination, but then we have cities on fire and earthquakes and other major disasters that could, especially earthquakes, that could impact us in a way where we're going to need more than one coordinating body. So this is essentially these 20 networks that we've developed are how we quickly plug into those needs. I'm going to share my screen just to show you guys that community support, the different community support networks, and then we'll talk real quick about the donations network, and then I'll pass it over so we can talk about the main tool for the donation networks, which is Recovers. So let me share my screen. So if you go to cadresv.org, right at the top, you'll see this community support networks. And what I'm telling you is basically what's being read here. So I'm going to skip past this and go to the network. If you want to fill out the form to show your interest, that's how we're going to be able to quickly connect you. If you're not already invited to this one, you should definitely either shoot me an email so I can include you, or add your name to that interest form noting which network groups you'd be interested in. And this is just an overview. We have everything from access and functional needs to climate resilience, animal coordination, communications, community health, donations, business, employment, faith, the food network, which I know a couple of you are already on, immigrant, mass care, mental and behavioral health, senior, transportation, veterans, unhoused, youth, and volunteers. So basically, quick ways to kind of plug into any specific needs you have, or you're looking for specific food information or coordination or whatever it might be. And you can click on any of these and it will take you to the web page. So we're going to click on donations here. And you guys can see when it switches tabs, right? Yeah, perfect. So this is just a brief on donation support. If we have an active disaster where we need to put information here about the disaster, like important links, we will. We do have a network map, which we'll be revamping right now. This shows Google Maps, but we have a GIS map that's been in progress. That we've been working on. And then right now you'll see there's no active partners for this network. Everyone who's on this call, unless you tell me don't include me, is going to be considered an active partner. Anyone who's told me I can't make this call, but I'm interested, will be there. And that's just our basically listserv, our quick way to push out information to a group. All you have to do is show me you're interested in any way, shape, or form and give me some contact information so I know who to contact. This is not designed to make you do any work. This is designed to plug you in really, really quickly. That's the goal. So no work from your end aside from giving me an up-to-date contact and showing up to a single meeting or sending me a single email saying I'm interested. And then you'll see here, just brief on the network. This is the donation network is exactly what it's meant to be, which is trying to connect needs with donations. That is the goal of the network, specifically amongst non-governmental organizations. We're not doing the public connection so much. Recovers has a way to do that, so we can definitely, nonprofits can push information to the public, but this is non-governmental coordination is the goal here. And you'll see we have our Santa Clara County Recovers, which I'll let Morgan show in just a second, but that's up and active. And you can add your organization to that, and she'll show you how to do that really quickly. And there's a video, a previous training video. So she's going to give us a little training. That way you can ask questions. But if you want a little more details, you're welcome to watch that YouTube video that shows that Monterey County Recovers. And then we have this web page. I have resources at the bottom here. If you want me to add anything, tell me. If you have a resource of your own you want to add, please. This is a live web page, and that's the point, to give you live information. Meetings like this will be another way we can communicate, and then any backup methods, right? Listservs, if we want to make a group text or hop on a call together. This is your network. It's designed to give you an easy way to access tools, information, and resources. So however you want me to modify it, please suggest it and we can get that done. With that, I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to pass it over to Morgan, the co-founder of Recovers.
Thanks very much, Luna. I'm really excited about your effort, and this is very unusual and rather visionary among the counties I have worked with historically, so it's a privilege to be a part of it. Also, our new Director of Partnerships and Organizations Operations has joined us, Simone Makar-Zekri, so she's here on the call too. She can also answer questions. But yeah, I think I'll just start sharing my screen and I'll briefly show the Santa Clara County site, but it's pretty empty and I want you all to see what it can be. And so I'll switch over to the demo site, which is full of a bunch of fake stuff that at your leisure you can mess with because there can be no harm. And then you get to use all the tools and the features. So let me attempt to share my screen. Okay, I think you see something that makes sense. It's not your site though, so oops, sorry. Hold on. Okay, so yeah, and then I'm just going to hide these controls. Okay. So let's go to yours first, and that's this Disaster Relief and Recovery Coordination Hub. Show meeting. Okay, so can you see that? Can you see the Cadre site? All right, great. So this is yours and this is live. So you can all drive people who are interested in some aspect of a disaster to tell the information that they have about one of these three buttons. We've been operating in some capacity since 2011, and we found that these three different bins are pretty much the reason why people come to a site like this to be matched in some way. One thing I want to point out right off the bat, because this is a multi-agency and multi-organization network, is if people want to give, they can go here and they'll immediately be asked whether they want to donate items or money. And if they want to donate money, which I think you would all agree is ideal, then where to donate will take you to a link for every single organization that has signed up with us, and that will send you off site. So we don't touch money. We don't have a portal for money. We don't centralize it or skim or anything. We just want you, when you register as an organization with us, to put your donation link, and then that will be populated for all of the trusted organizations. So the data that we keep is information about donating items. So this is your site, and we can fill this out. And I want to just jump now to the demo site so that you can see what it looks like to the public as well as, more interestingly, to vetted local organizers. So this is our demo site. I have centered it geographically over Rachel, Nevada, which is where I think the maximum number of UFOs have been sighted. I'm a scientist. I'm not concerned about aliens, but I thought it would be a funny way to have some fake content. So yeah, this is what it looks like. So you will see we have those three buttons. You can have a custom picture in the back. You get to describe the site. And then the public will see this. This is the public facing page. And the really active dynamic part is this kind of centered and rightmost column, which is the community updates. When you are vetted and approved for access as a local community organization, which every person on this call should qualify for, you have the ability to post an update on the site. And I think that's what Luna was referring to. This has, a public facing way for you to quickly reach people. It's not social media, this isn't a platform where other people can post. The only entities that can post something on this front page are you folks, the trusted local organizations doing something valuable in disasters. So I'll just scroll slowly, and you can all see this yourself. This is just the public facing site. You could just go to demo.recovers.org, and this is live online. And so you're welcome to have a look at this. Some of these updates are actually requests for volunteers, and there's a mechanism for people to sign up for those specific opportunities. And you can see that lots of different organizations can say what they need, what they're doing, what they're offering. And so you could see these different organizations are all participating. Now, if we were to browse all organizations, you can see that we can, link to your homepage as well as, I don't think we've done this much for the demo site. This is where your donation button would go. If you additionally had a place to donate money, you would be brought to a page like this. Yeah, so that is the public facing side. And what we're all here to do is match donations with needs. And so whether or not you have an active community update tally running, these buttons would be active and people would presumably be sharing information that's really valuable that we would like to see in the back end. So currently I'm signed in as Nicole Friel of the American Red Croissant, which should exist because sometimes we just need a croissant. So that's the organization that I'm going to sign in as, and I'm going to have a look at the dashboard. This is what you'll see in the back end when you have a more active community. And for a county like Santa Clara, probably the numbers will be in the thousands for each of these bins at least. And we've seen that in previous communities in the older iteration of our software. This version of our software is brand new and it's modern. It's got a lot of nice bells and whistles. But we've seen really big numbers in the old version. And so we've just put in a bunch of fake needs, donations, volunteers, and then we've provided a lot of tools for organizations to use to do a couple of things. To communicate with each other privately, kind of above the community member who has put in some information. That can be either about, coordinating on their behalf or making sure there aren't duplicate efforts or alerting someone to potential scammers, which is not just a risk, it's a reality, unfortunately. And then we provide tools for you to directly connect with the person who has signed up with needs or an interest in volunteering or donating. So if we go over and have a look at the needs, and there are a few other things here. There's some bells and whistles. You can see notifications that are coming up. You could see kind of a tally of recent activity. You could post updates to the front page here. The message center is very powerful. So you can imagine 10,000 people now have signed up after a big disaster. Through this platform, you can, for free, because all parts of this for free, this is what we do as a nonprofit, you can send an email to everybody. And, hopefully not too often. You could send, if we have a look, you can send an email to everyone. You could send an email just to the other organizations. So that's a really light touch. Just to those folks with needs or those who want to donate or those who want to volunteer. So if we go now inside one of the databases, let's have a look. So I added a few more fake things this morning to prepare for this presentation. And it looks like Amika Thompson has asked for a volunteer to stay with her dad because he has some medical concerns and she has to go to some county seat to fill out paperwork for, insurance stuff because of the disaster. And she needs someone to stay with her dad and make sure he's fine. And so this is her need. You could see her profile in detail if we click on this link next to her name. You can see her address, her email, her phone number, when she signed up, how many needs or other things she signed up for. Let's go back. And now here you can see the tools that the organizers have to talk amongst themselves and each other, and then directly to the person who has signed up for this need. So for example, a plucky volunteer from Coffee First Aid has reached out to Amika directly. This is not a private message. This is outbound to the person who signed up to say, hey, we've got some people who can do this. Can we connect you? But then that volunteer noticed that their preferred method of contact is actually WhatsApp, which is true for a lot of people, especially those who are not, you know, they don't have easy access to a computer. And even though the site is mobile responsive, maybe they prefer to do things kind of more directly. And so you can then put a private comment on this case to other organizers to say, you know what, messages outbound won't work. We need to call. And so now I'm going to leave a record of the contact I've had with her so I can keep you all up to date on what's happening on her behalf. There's an additional feature, which is really important when all of a sudden a lot of organizers are working on a lot of people together at the same time, and that is locking a need. And so this coffee first aid volunteer has said, I'll lock this need because I'm pretty sure I'll have her need met by tomorrow. So this volunteer is saying, don't work on this. I got it. It's not met yet, but I've got it. So you can move on and work on someone else. And so you could see that this need is locked. But if a week goes by and there's no response, I'm going to unlock it, make sure other organizers know that this needs to be worked on. And then you can mark things as met, partially met. You can leave all kinds of comments. If in an outbound message like this one, the person does receive it by email and responds, their email will come into the platform. It will come here. It does not require your inbox. Using this platform through these message systems does not require you to reveal any personal contact information until you have to go to a phone, right? We don't have phone lines. But if you use this messaging system, then you don't have to expose your email address. And sometimes there are sensitivities about that. So we've made sure that's not required. So the other databases work in much the same way. You know, you're not marking needs as met, you're marking donations as available or unavailable. Sometimes we've seen in previous iterations of the software, really large, extremely valuable corporate donations come in, which really need a lot of quick attention because they are at a scale that you usually don't see. And so we now have a feature that kind of highlights that and allows you to sort by just corporate donations, and then people can work on those specifically. So yeah, you can do open or accepted or leave, you know, public or private comments. So I think that's the quick and dirty of the site. I'd love to answer questions now or make sure, you know, if something wasn't clear or if you want to see another feature. So whatever you like, we're here to help. And this is live for Santa Clara now. So you could start using all of these features. This all works and other communities are using it. Rashmi?
Hey, yeah, thanks for putting all of this together. It looks pretty cool. Um, I have a question. So if let's say I have 100 jackets, so I usually run swap events in different communities. So if let's say I've collected an excess of 50 jackets, right? I could go into this portal and say I want to offer, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want to give. And then I put in the description and submit. Um, do I wait for a response on this thread, or do you know whether someone is, let's say someone has already requested for winter wear in I have a need. Who's going to match that up, or is that on me to look up?
It depends. You might have that offer and you might put it in. So now if we go back to our dashboard, we can see that the latest donation is one of jackets, and now it's coming from an organizer. It's not coming from, you know, a regular member of the public. It's coming from someone who can then go in the database. And so now you've just told all our other organizers that you have 100 jackets. It's not necessarily your responsibility to match it yourself. You could just be kind of the person who has to, you know, upload all of the amazing stuff that you get. Now every organization with access to every single person's needs can see that you have jackets and they can start matching too. So I think I had another, so a way you can do that, let me go to donations. I think down here, yeah, this person was offering non-perishable food a long time ago. Wow, a very long time ago. And so I came in as Nicole from the Red Croissant, And I said, I'm hoping to match this to a particular need. Now, in the needs database with this particular kind of unique
Mhm.
hashtag identifier, that person has asked for non-perishable items. So I'm using this hashtag to leave a comment in a donation to say, I'm working on making this match. And then if I successfully
Okay.
make this match, I'll come back and say, this has been, this donation is no longer available. This need has been met. It does not have to be you. Just putting it into the database allows everyone to act on it.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, great question.
And if someone responds to my message, how do I get notified?
Yeah, it's entirely up to you. Some people don't want emails in their inbox. And so,
Oh, that's what you mentioned earlier. Okay, got it.
yeah. So you get to decide what comes to your inbox and what stays in the platform for you to catch up on when you log back in. So it would just,
Got it. Yeah, thank you.
yeah, you're welcome.
Morgan, real quick, do you mind walking through how organizations can get their own user account on here?
Yeah, yes, absolutely. So let me log out. I won't do it on yours because we don't want to put fake stuff on yours. So let me just log out here. So so as a member initially of the public, you would come to a site like this, including Santa Clara, and you'll see up here, register your organization. Now, if you're just a member of the public and you want to sign in, because you've already said you have a need or you want to give or volunteer and you want to check in on how those are being handled, you could just go to sign in. Or even if you're an organizer who's already gotten access, you could go to sign in. But I think for all of us who are approaching the site for the first time as organizers who want to represent an organization, we will go to register your organization. So we'll go here. And this is just another level of making sure we get the individuals to not continue down this path because, you know, the bin for organizers is small compared to the public interest in the site. We'll go to organizations because we are parts of those. And then sometimes your colleague may already have made your organization. And so this is a way just to check that you haven't, your organization is not yet signed up on the site. So let's say I'm part of Free Shoes International, and I'm looking here, I don't see Free Shoes International. So I'm going to register a new organization. Free Shoes. This rationale goes to us. This is an important part of our centralized vetting process, at which we have a very quick turnaround time for. And so we just have to make sure that, people are local and they have a nonprofit mission and they're doing something appropriate and they don't discriminate. And no militias. We had to add the rule no militias at some point because of a Texan organization that wanted to have armed members guard a neighborhood. So, we have rules, but they're very sensible, and they've done well for us for a long time. So let's say we give out free shoes locally, and then you would have a nice, corporatized.
This is Marcia, and have not thought this fully through yet, but I'm wondering if they say working with Cadre, if that
No?
would give you an easy way to know that they're definitely already working with us too.
Yeah, I think that would make things easier. We still have
Okay.
our own due diligence just to
Yeah.
do a quick search, maybe send a quick email, and we would do that regardless of the affiliation. But yes, that would help things a lot. And for example, if you had a list that you could provide of organizations or organizers who we should just automatically let in because you're going to do some tabletop exercise with them or something, that's great. Regardless,
Okay.
we'll handle vetting, even if we don't receive these things.
Okay.
So you can also, yeah, so here you would put your donation, link. So this is the site that we would send people off to because again, we don't touch money. And then you would just make your own personal information here and you would register it. And once you register your organization, you are not yet accepted because we have to vet it. It comes to us super users, Simone, myself, the rest of our team. And then we have a very quick turnaround time. And then the person, once the organizer who sets up this organization will get an email alerting them that they now have access and telling them how to go get access. And then there's something else important that I want to share with you because, many of you have multiple organizers in your organization. I've logged out, so let me see if I can get back in. Marvelous. This is kind of stuff on our end of things, but let me just get back to the demo site.
I'm not seeing the screen anymore. I don't know what I did.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It might just be me.
Do
I
others?
can still see it.
Okay.
Okay, I'll keep
Sorry, Marcia.
checking. No, it's
You can just, yeah, actually you can't see. I'm going to show you something that isn't public right now. So
okay.
there are different tabs on the Zoom window. You might be in the tab with all the faces in the upper left.
Yes, that's the problem right now. So I'm looking for the other tab. Oh, here it is. Got it.
Okay, great. So let me just impersonate Nicole again. Here she is. Now I'm in as Nicole. So now let's say I'm Nicole. I was the one who signed up the American Red Croissant, but I have 15 colleagues. Now, we at recovers.org do not vet your colleagues. Once the organization is trusted, you're on your own. I mean, you're never on your own, but you are allowed to invite as many organizers as you see fit and as you trust, and that's something that we do not interfere with. Because, however, mistakes happen, fingers slip, mouses click on the wrong things. We require a message so that we can centrally revoke an organizer's access. So if you do make a mistake or if someone all of a sudden is misbehaving, then just send us an email and we can immediately remove them as an organizer. So you can add a member to your organization here. You just sign them up and they'll get an email to join your organization, and that happens at your level and not ours. And then they'll have the same access as you. Great. Other questions?
About that, I want to volunteer. So if let's say we have 100 organizations on the site, and this message pops up that says, I want to volunteer, I mean, I guess maybe that's a process we have to decide on. Is it first come, first serve, grab that volunteer, or do we have a central person that's kind of allocating based on needs? I don't.
Yeah, I have not seen a problem yet. And this could just be a limitation of scales, and it could be that
Yeah.
this becomes an issue, but let's go back to the dashboard. Volunteers come in with really specific, well, I mean, this is all fake data, so this is not amazing. This is not an amazing example of the cross section of details that you would get, but people have really limited availability and skills and interests. And so we've found that, there isn't a homogeneous pool that can just move around to whoever grabs them first. And so one of the features that we instituted to allow people to kind of grab volunteers as they come in then is to make an update with this request for volunteers. So volunteers, instead of just saying generally to the database, I would like to volunteer, here are my skills. Volunteers can then look at this front page and look at all these different opportunities, which should include the appropriate time, the appropriate shoes, the appropriate ages, right? And then volunteers can self-sort, and that's a much more, I
Okay.
think, efficient way of doing things. And then you can communicate with just those volunteers. And then you can send things like, hours, forms, waivers, that sort of thing for that particular opportunity, which might need training or screening or something. But the general pool, yeah, the general pool is helpful, but honestly, I would say that one of the most valuable features of the general pool is to be able to email them all at once. And not to go one by one and pick out 10 volunteers and make sure they're all available on Tuesday at 5. Like, you can send a blast email to all 3,000 volunteers and advertise some huge event that needs 500 people and get people to sign up with whatever, external sign up link or software or Google form that you would like to use.
And
That's how.
volunteers update, so like, let's say I want to volunteer for the Spire, but now it's a year later. And I get an email saying volunteers for Tuesday. Is there a way to go back and like update that, or say I'm available just for this time frame or anything like that?
Yeah, so we haven't really cracked that problem yet. I'll tell you the two workarounds. if you sign up in any capacity, you can delete your profile completely and all of your data disappears. And that's important from a privacy perspective. However, if you put up a need or a volunteer or a donation item, you can only comment on it, actually. You can't directly edit it. And so the comments allow us to see kind of like a running change because those comments will include interventions from organizations, and that chronology is really important. And that's actually a scam prevention tool that we found is valuable. So if you wanted to start afresh as a volunteer a year later, I would just delete your account and then start over again. We might have a more clever way to do that in the near future, but we haven't designed it yet.
And what about the archive? So if I archive one of these, like if I archive Joshua and then I send something to all, would he still receive it?
Yes. Yes, he would. That's an interesting question. Let's go to I don't think we have a filter for archived volunteers. Let me have a look, but that's a really good point. To users who offered to volunteer. Okay, let me make a note. That's important.
Well, and if the archive isn't really them as a volunteer, it was that a specific need.
So the archive is for us, right? For the non-governmental organization. So let's say I use the volunteer and that request is done and they're done, they don't want whatever, I would archive them so they're not showing as available.
Right,
Same with the
right.
donations, correct,
Okay.
Morgan?
Yeah, so let's see. So Joshua has been archived. And yeah, so this allows you to sort quickly by available and not available volunteers. And then additionally, there's subscribed, which is the folks whose interactions you get direct emails about if you're working on a specific case and you want to be notified immediately. But archived, actually, I have to check about whether they are still on our mass mailing list. I don't know the answer to that, and I should. So thank you. I'll write a note now. To avoid emailing archived volunteers. Yeah, that's helpful. Oh, so the other thing I want to mention is we're currently spending down a generous grant from the Community Foundation of Monterey County, which made sure that we would get back online with this phenomenal modern software. And so we have wiggle room for continued engineering and feature improvements and responses to workflow problems that you might face. So please take advantage of that. We're really excited that we can be responsive in this way. So just know that if a workflow seems bad or you keep getting confused or lost, we should fix that. That's our problem. That's not your problem.
How long is the grant?
That's going to sunset in March and we'll have spent that money. We're in conversations for potential additional funding with them and other entities at the state or provincial level elsewhere. So
Well, we're gonna put it to the test with this apartment fire, so
yeah,
we'll
I mean,
definitely have feedback before March.
yeah, that sounds great. Just get it to us as soon as you can, and hopefully while you're still working on that problem
Yeah.
spot, fix it
Yeah.
immediately.
Okay.
Were there any additional questions for Morgan?
I guess I have one question, and I'm not sure if it's for Morgan or for Kadre, but I'm curious how you see the food group interacting with this. Whether it sort of supplements the work we're already doing there, whether you expect, because obviously there's a lot of folks in that group that aren't on the call today that would benefit from volunteers and donations and needs and all that sort of thing. What are your thoughts there?
So my thought there is this could just be an extra tool for the Food Network and for all the networks. This is definitely, it's help for donations, but it's for everyone, right? So that's the thought there. I know, especially with the current state of food security and feeding operations and the like, this might be just the extra tool that you can pull from if there's like during our Food Network call last week, I heard there was a few people like looking for specific things. They would obviously connect with our food recovery that already exists, those networks and collaborating forces that already exist. But then let's say you need volunteers for a food pantry, this could be one of the ways we plug in and pull something, or you need we have a fire and we're giving away water, not necessarily it's food exactly, but water or non-perishables, this would be another good place to put that along with needs. Because I think if we push the need in a meeting and in a listserv and a WhatsApp and on here, you're more likely to be able to find someone to meet that need. I think that it's going to become more and more useful the more organizations we have on here. Honestly, when it first starts, I think the utility of it is lacking because you need organizations to make it run. So the vision here is we have almost all of our non-governmental organizations that we speak to in any capacity on here who would be assisting. And I know this isn't only for disasters, but largely in that active kind of disaster relief and recovery effort, so that this is just another way to amplify your needs and then also try to find, especially some of those individual, I think the volunteers can be helpful. But yeah, pretty much just another plugin to try to get resources and volunteers.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll say that this really thrives when it reaches a critical mass. And so whichever organization can benefit from even, 15% of the tools and the features that we have should absolutely join. And I think there's a lot of overlap with probably most of the networks you're running. This allows organizations to have a common hub where they can meet everyone who has some kind of interest as an individual. The idea is to prevent duplication and to allow orgs to transparently work together, um, kind of seamlessly and with these data privacy tools that we've built carefully. So yeah, the more the merrier, I think. That's a good way to think about it.
Well, and Rashmi's example of I have extra coats. I mean, we have like 80 organizations in this county that support the unhoused. And it's very possible that there's excess in one and need in another. And just that could be useful. And I'm wondering if we should create a pre-disaster and a post-disaster. Would that be?
I don't think, and please, Morgan, if you've
Sure.
seen something else, I don't think that's necessary. I think this can stay standing. Blue skies and gray skies, it obviously
Okay.
would be used more in gray skies, but to the point of the more organizations on it, the more utility it would actually serve. Just even using it for something smaller, like an apartment fire doesn't create activation of all of our emergency operations and all of that, but it does require coordination. And the same thing would go with a house fire or just daily operations. Like we're seeing demand specifically with the Food Network. We're seeing demand for more feeding operations and we're seeing reductions in supplies. And we do have coordinating bodies that can help support this, but when they're not able to support it using our already developed communication, this can be that umbrella or safety net, so to speak, to help kind of encapsulate all of those needs. So personally, at least from what I saw in Monterey County, and again, please correct me if you saw something else, I think just keeping it 24/7, 7 days a week, and even if it's not emergency, we can still utilize it. But if there's an emergency, it will have obviously a bit more utility.
Yeah, I agree. Sue?
Hi, I'm with the Red Cross, and I'm wondering, about the donations. Who actually is going to go clean this up after 3 months? I mean, even in the middle of a disaster. So, I've got somebody who is able to. They go in and they go in and fill this out, but then they get the donation from another organization that's not on Recovers. The people aren't going to go in here and update their donation lists. So it troubles me that who's going to be responsible for maintaining the because if I see that there's a list, donation thing on there and I respond to it and the people already have it, how does that work? I'm confused.
Yeah, that's something that could use some more feature build out. And we've talked about having a hide everything before a date that the organizer puts into the platform. So if you only want to see people who have signed up or changed their profile in some way since August 2025, this hasn't been built yet, but this is on our short list. You would be able to just put in your date, which I don't centrally. I don't know which date would bin the disasters appropriately, and then you would be able to just see the fresh stuff. So I think that's the easiest thing to do because absolutely people are going to, set it and forget it. And then the powerful thing about that, even though some of that data is going to age poorly, is you have their contact information. And a lot of people offer to donate inappropriate things anyways because they don't know how to express their goodwill in a helpful way. But just having their contact information as a person who wants to help can turn them into a donor of stuff that you need. And so, the mass emailing kind of helps us redirect them to something useful and potentially for a long time.
So
But yeah,
who actually does the maintenance on it though?
We're gonna get volunteers.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
so I will say, in Monterey County, something that I saw, what ended up happening in one of the fires when this was utilized was one leading organization, in this case it's going to be Cadre, sees that things are getting a little hectic and they'll push a call out for volunteers both within the organization, and then if needed, if the volunteers within the organization cannot handle it. I saw in Monterey County we had a couple volunteers from other organizations, and a couple other organizations stepped in and said, we'll help organize this, and do it in that sense. So if we start seeing this turn from 10 to 1,000, then we will definitely need to be having someone constantly watching, and we'll mobilize Cadre's volunteers. And if it's not enough, because now it's 10,000, we'll make a call out starting with the donation network saying, hey, any organization who can help sort this out and clean it up. Obviously, it's easier the smaller the disaster is, and the bigger the disaster is, the more hands on deck we'll need.
and you
Yeah.
can get those volunteers from the volunteer database itself. You'll see that some people sign up to do computer work and they just want to sit with a computer somewhere and be helpful, but they're immobile, maybe, who knows? Like that type of volunteer shows up every time. So yeah, you could just ask for that kind of help. That's true.
So is it possible? Because like when I was working on the fire with Marcia, we did a donation list and, for specific items that were clothing, baby stuff, furniture, house goods. Can you upload a whole list of things, or is it, how do you handle like a overall, like for somebody who's just totally wiped out, how do you put that in?
So you mean the organization would be asking the public for a long list, or a person would be asking the site for a long list?
The person is asking the site for a long
Yeah,
list.
we could have these individual families go in here. Right, but if I was looking to help them, how is a narrative searchable? Like, I mean, they need beds, they need clothing, they need size 7 shoes, they need kitchen appliances and laundry soap and all these different things. It's like how do they, I mean, I have that information, so I could put it in on their behalf.
Well,
But
exactly. So I'm in kiosk mode right now. I'm still signed in as Nicole from the Red Croissant.
okay.
But so let's say I'm at the laptop for the intake table at the shelter, and people are walking up to me who don't have any connectivity at all. This is a very common case, right? We should not expect the people with needs to be on a computer signing up. And so in this kind of kiosk mode, if you select this, you can now say that Gary, Gary Stedman, Gary has requested this, and now there's an entry for Gary at this location, and and you're tagged as the person who intook that need.
Yeah, and the other thing is that, we had a basic needs list, but yet when Marcia is actually going out and trying to find those things, she needs real specifics about the size of the bed. Do they need, a crib with, whatever. There's much more detail that needs to be had rather than I need shoes.
Yeah, people write long narratives. I don't know if I have good examples of a
Yeah,
long.
and I think that they should know that when they put that, there should be some direction, when they are
Yeah.
making their list of things, that they need to be real specific about what their need
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
And I do have some specifics, so I can definitely put that in for them. And then is it searchable by
Oh yeah,
a topic? Okay.
absolutely. Yeah, you can. So all of these databases are searchable by, um, you know, pretty instantly by whatever word
Okay.
you could think of. And we're going to add tags too. If people sometimes like to self-organize using tags, where they have a few like large bins where a bunch of different types of words and families of things go, and then we're going to add a tagging system. But in the meantime, while you're waiting for the tags, you could just put your keyword in a comment, and that all of the comments are searchable as well.
Okay. So if we put this out to the churches that are in that area of this apartment and they have individuals sign up um, to support and say, I can provide this,
Yeah.
then how are the things changing hands?
Yeah, so that always has to be really, really personal. And I think even when we started thinking about this in 2011, 2012, people were saying, ooh, use machine learning to do the matching automatically. We've been really resistant to that because that's just super unsafe and unreliable.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so
So
it just, sorry?
should we like create meeting points, like meet at the church to make this exchange versus exchanging addresses and things, which definitely is not what we want to do.
Yeah, if you have the capacity or if organizations have the capacity to act as meeting points, I think that's a really smart social science response to the risk that we otherwise face matching two strangers.
Yeah.
So, often an organizer will be on the phone with one person and meeting, typing emails to the other person to coordinate the match. And sometimes they just have enough trust and we're not involved at that level as the providers of the software. But I think meeting points are great. And after disaster, usually there are one or more common meeting points. So I think
Yeah.
that's a good policy to have. But
Okay.
you would need to communicate that to all of the organizers who are doing the matching. Otherwise, they're just going to have a feeling that something seems safe, and then people will bring things to other people's houses, and that happens a lot too.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Yeah. Rashmi?
So thinking about crisis cleanup, and people are going to be asking, it's a flood, so they need tarps and cleanup kits and all of that kind of stuff. How is this, is there kind of a focus group is this more about clothes and, those kinds of donations? Or is it a competition to crisis cleanup? How would you handle those kinds of things? Because I mean, it's
The
similar.
organization crisis cleanup?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it would be amazing if they signed up as an organization and then had access and incorporated that into their lists. They are certainly, we don't intend to be in competition with anyone. The idea is we're just a tool, and then you all do your work better because you
Okay.
have us. So I actually know, his name escapes me now because this was years ago, but the founder of Crisis Cleanup sent me a signed copy of his book, How to Prepare for Anything.
Anything.
Yeah,
Adam.
so I have his book. We've been in conversation, although that connection's run a bit cold, I think. But yes, I love their work, and if they had access to this, I think they would do it even better than the great job that they do
Yeah,
now.
we could reach out to them, and I think, there would be need there. People are going to get all of those supplies at a resource hub if they show up at the resource hub, but then the ones that realized later, it would be great for them to be in here. Or if he doesn't want to be connected to every county or every VOAD, then that would be something where we would just know to contact them and ask them to send us a supply of cleanup kits or.
Yeah, and actually, that brings me to another point that I didn't mention, and was that Sue who's asking that?
Yeah.
And you're with the Red Cross?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have, when you sign up an organization, I'm not sure I showed you that. I don't think we got to that step, but we can promote certain organizations as global, and that means that they automatically are trusted for, a regional or a national set of platforms. And so the Red Cross could have a single account. If you don't want to be the Red Cross of Santa Clara County, if you want to be the American Red Cross and have, a single bird's eye view into all of these different large platforms, that works, and that would just require a single set of permissions. So there's a global status for organizations like Crisis Cleanup, Red Cross, Team Rubicon, Catholic Charities, whatever.
Right.
To,
Yeah,
to,
so the whole sign up thing is kind of funky. So I mean, I have a steady state job as the recovery coordinator, but if you have a disaster in Santa Clara County, the person who's responsible may be fly in from Florida. So it's about getting that person permission to understand that, yes, you can have permission for this, because as the larger disasters go, it changes every 3 weeks to who should be provided with all this.
Yeah, and so organizations in a global scale, what am I saying? Organizers in a global scale organization kind of just chain at each other as trusted organizers under that large umbrella, and then they can just delete themselves. So that could be done without us. But yeah, if local chapters just want permission locally, that's great. And then if we want to, serve headquarters and make sure that they always have access, we could do that too.
And Rashmi's been waiting patiently.
Yeah, sorry, Rashmi, please.
No worries, thanks. So I want to go back to an earlier point around, let's say someone is looking for a miscellaneous set of items, right? And I think there was some discussion around that. I'm wondering whether that kind of falls into some sort of a use case where the intermediate volunteer or someone who's running the Recovers platform or is volunteering here can connect them to an organization maybe like mine, just giving an example, where they can then say, hey, a bunch of these requests have come in. Is your network able to fulfill it in this region? And it can be for items, it could be for help with sitting like helping out with the elderly at home or things like that. But maybe it's like that reverse of matching specific needs with related organizations.
Yeah, that's a good question. I guess right now we don't have an automatic way to, within a need, like Miguel here needs a number of things. Let's say even more unrelated things could be part of this request. So an organizer or the first volunteer who sees this could go in and leave a private comment that then everyone could see. And recall that every organizer has on their dashboard, on the disaster dashboard, they could see all the most recent interactions. And unless your site is extremely busy in the first terrible 1 or 2 weeks after an enormous disaster, those are going to be pretty current if you're checking every day. You're not going to miss a lot. And you'll be able to see that an organizer has commented on this need. And so you could leave a note here and say which organizers can meet this person's diverse needs. But that might also be a case for sending a message just to the organizations.
Yeah,
So
I mean, if somebody had they're like, we can handle all of these requests for this type of thing. I don't think anybody's going to complain a lot about that, but we, I think it's obvious from this conversation that we want to explore this and make it work. And we can come up with some policy type guidelines for how we do that and do some tests. And I'm going to give it back to Luna now because this is our meeting. But thank you. This is amazing.
Oh, I'm glad you like it.
Yeah, Morgan, you are an incredible person, and like developing this platform, I've admired you for many, many years, just to let you know.
Well, thank you for making it happen. You're on the ground. I sit at a desk, so I'm not the one making a difference. So I appreciate the ability.
You are definitely making a difference.
You made
and
a
I
difference.
refuse to accept that statement. You are 100% making a difference. So thank you so much. And then taking the time out to come and explain this all. I am recording this.
Great.
So a few next steps of what I would like to do is I'm going to put this on the Cadre's website. I'll be sharing it with the networks I'm running, and I'll have Marcia do the same. Our staff will share it out to the network so that we can start getting more signups. We will definitely utilize it for the apartment buyer and for anything else we can
Wonderful.
try to get testing and running in this. And then I actually want to turn this back to this group. As far as the donation network goes, our food network meets quarterly. I'm happy to set up just brief touch bases. Maybe our next donation meeting could be us working through some of the protocols on this. And I can set that up, and I'm suggesting stuff. So please shoot back to me and say, no, that's a bad suggestion, or whatever you guys may feel on it. What I'm suggesting is we meet again in a quarter. We test this out, we share this out, we get people signed up, we play with it, and we meet, it's November, so December, January, we meet early February and make the next network meeting to kind of discuss amongst ourselves different protocols and how we exactly, how it worked for those 3 months. And then I know we would need to get back to you if there's any glitches or additional stuff, so we could basically use that meeting to get that protocol going and talk about any hiccups that we experienced. Does that sound like an okay plan to the people on the call?
I'm just going to throw one wrench in that the Super Bowl is happening on January 12th, I think. And if anything happens at that event, we're going to be testing in real time. So I think the push is to get people signed up. And if we need to use it, we will figure it out as we're going.
Definitely. I'm talking more about touching base again with the donation network.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Sue, you had your hand raised?
Yeah, I was curious. What are you going to send it to, like, the SPN network? I mean, how can you? Because that's where I see a lot
Yes.
of the needs
Yes.
at, and it would be interesting to see how it reduced your emails that you get, the number of emails.
Right. The number of those SPN. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
We'll
just
send the
I
video
would,
to
I
them.
think, yeah, that is exciting
Yeah.
to think about that.
I think so too.
Yeah.
So yes, we will share. We're going to share it far and wide, and it also will be on our website. Is everyone okay to touch base in 3 months just to see how this is going at that time?
Sure.
Great. So I'll coordinate with you guys a little later on to get that going. And I know we're 1 minute over, so apologies for that. But Morgan, Simone, thank you for everything you guys do. Thank you guys for taking the time out, and we'll definitely be sharing all of this information out. So definitely appreciate it.
It's an honor. Thank you. Let us know
Yeah.
whatever you need. We're here.
Wonderful.
Good job.
Yeah.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.